All right, it is the 9th of January and wow, okay, I've just realized it's my dad's birthday. Okay, 9th of January 2026, the very first working week of 2026 comes to an end today. Yes.
That's been a very slow week though.
And for you?
For me, yes.
Mine, I think I need 3 more days for that week. Anyway, karibu sana, this is the Morning Cafe, the first feel-good Friday of 2026, and we are here ready to bring you all the lowdowns. My name is Freddie Ndimuli.
My name is Anne Odiden. Last year, approximately 996,000 students sought the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. Today, they're going to know their results by 9 a.m. Education Cabinet Secretary will preside over that event in Eldoret today at 9 a.m. It is International Anti-Corruption Day, and it's also International Day for Commemoration and Dignity of the Victims of the Crime of Genocide. Karibu sana.
All right, let's take a look at what's big on the newspapers, rattling the world, and I think that is the man of the year. Already, the very first week, Donald Trump making headlines even in Kenya, that's a standard.
Daily Nation, housing ticking time bomb.
Taifa Leo, some politics here, Joho amezea kiti cha Oburu.
The Star, Natembea shakes Ruto and ODM grip on Luhya vote.
And this is the same theme on the front page of People Daily. Luhya reawakening, a sleeping giant starts to stir. A lot of focus on Western Kenyan politics.
Finally, Business Daily, SACCOs seek Treasury tax lifeline and amid cash pressure.
All right, so those are the headlines this morning. Today, of course, every Friday, just like we've been doing, it's a youth perspective. We'll be having young Kenyans in studio. But our main discussion today will be focusing on matters youth unemployment, educated but unemployed. These are people who've gone to university, have degrees, some of them postgraduate qualifications, but still do not have jobs. So where did we go wrong? That is a discussion we'll be having with this huge panel of young and educated Kenyans, starting at 6:30. Later on, of course, Feel Good Friday. DJ Rhymes will be in studio. It's a gospel edition, eh? Tunaanza na maombi, tunaanza kwa maombi.
Vile inafaa tulifunga na maombi, tunaanza na maombi.
All right.
Lakini tulifunga na sherehe.
Ulikuwa kwa sherehe?
No, we were here, hata kuna evidence kwa karatasi. Even if you say no, we can replay that thing.
Yeah, Bansi Kimuya Weekend Q will be here alongside Adodida for this one, and you'll be hosting a very interesting guest this morning.
MOG will be here. Atupatie some...
Boss MOG.
Kabisa.
MOG is Man of God. And that used to be a very popular group back when I was very young. Yeah. In the industry, not young.
Okay.
So yes, this is what we should be looking forward to. Let's cross over and see what else people are talking about in the East African region. And we start off in Uganda. The Daily Monitor has done a very interesting story here on the front page about the powers vested in the presidency. So they're asking, is it an emperor or president? The powers vested in the president are enormous, making choice of the office bearer the most consequential. With a stroke of the pen or proclamation, an incumbent can change the nation's direction and fate of citizens. As Ugandan Speaker President next week, a key question is whether they fully understand how their choice will affect their future. And I don't know why they expect that Yoweri Museveni will actually exit. His son is actually the chief of the military, chief of defense forces. Sijui munaona mutapitia route gani ati, but anyway. This is Uganda, and they say President akona a lot of powers and privileges, matters security. Yes, Superintendent National Security and Intelligence grants control over forces of coercion, law enforcement. He can appoint anyone as chief of police or anything else. So even as 4 days to elections, this is what they're looking at. Is their president too powerful? Could we say the same in Kenya? That's the Daily Monitor.
Time will tell. The New Vision, 60 Ugandan NGOs hit as Trump stops funding health, education, and crime agencies affected.
This one, you know, last year when I think they withdrew from the USAID, and I know people here in Kenya, some close friends and relatives who lost jobs immediately after that. Now, this is going to affect a lot more people. In Uganda, and I think it's also in the Standard, we'll come back to take a look at this, 66 different UN ratified agreements. And you know, in the entire globe, UN is in New York, Geneva, and Nairobi. So a lot of this actually centered in Gigiri. Itawaramba.
4 days to election campaigns inaendelea. Museveni campaigning in Lira. The front page is yellow kama kawaida, but Mafabi, Muntu and Chagulanyi, they also share their plans with voters on page 6 and 7 of this newspaper. Islamic PLE results released. That is Uganda. Religious leaders call for calm and justice during polls. And First Lady rallies women to secure Museveni's victory. And,
when do they stop campaigning officially?
On the election day.
Election day, not 48 hours before.
Well,
ideally should be 48 hours. That means they only have about 2 more days to campaign. Yeah.
All right. The Electoral Commission is also dispatching electoral materials there. So they're very much ready.
All right. Crossover to Bongo. And this is the first time I've seen President Samia Suluhu Hassan back on the front page. Sema Samia apigia chapuo sekta kibinafsi kwenye utafiti. Hapa anapigwa picha hapa akisalamiana na viongozi mbalimbali, hata aliyekuwa wakati mmoja Rais Jakaya Kikwete yako pale. Baada ya kuwasili katika hafla ya uzinduzi wa jengo la taaluma na utawala la Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam, taasisi ya sayansi za bahari Buyu, Zanzibar. Anyway, lakini hiyo si habari kuu pale. Habari kuu ni kuhusu uchaguzi mkuu wa pingwa kotini EACJ. This is the East African Court of Justice. Ile uchaguzi wa Oktoba 29 mwaka jana uliozua vurugu kule Tanzania sasa wamepingwa kotini. Wanasheria wafungua shauri wakidai haukukidhi viwango vya kidemokrasia. Wadai kulikuwa na ukiukaji wa haki za kibinadamu na mkataba Afrika Mashariki. Kumbuka uchaguzi kule Tanzania hauwezi kupingwa kwenye koti za Tanzania. The laws in Tanzania, once the elections are done, that's it. You cannot go and challenge the results in court. But now they're probably feeling they should do it at a bigger court. Remember Martha Karua once challenged her loss in the EACJ. Hiyo kesi haikuenda mahali. Kasijukano wameweka hapa ati habari kuu. Hakuna mahali inaenda. Habari zingine, sababu za Watanzania kutunza fedha mchagoni. Mchagoni sijaelewa nini, lakini watatueleza zaidi. Na pale juu, basi la dakwa na balo la skanka. Tuangazie zingine. Gazeti la Mwananchi.
The Citizen, why Bank of Tanzania sees a 6% growth in first quarter. They say the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Tanzania has projected that the economy will grow by 6% in the first quarter of 2026, underpinned by stable inflation and favorable macroeconomic conditions as it retained the central bank rate at 5.75%. The story is on page 2 of the Business. They're still talking about Venezuela. After Venezuela oil grab, Trump now sets sight on Greenland. Samia to scholars drive blue economy agenda. Yesterday, she challenged marine scientists, scholars and experts to ensure their knowledge and research become a catalyst for growth of Tanzania's blue economy. And Duo takes Tanzania to regional court over alleged election violations. The story to Mona Pali, EACJ.
Yes, and so one thing that cuts across most discussions across East Africa is Trump and the kind of decisions he has made over the past 1 week and how they'll affect individual countries, Kenya included, Tanzania their own angle, as well as Uganda. We'll be back to take a look at the local dailies in depth in a short while. Kabla tufike Karakacha, sababu hizo zinazungumzia tu Trump. Anyway, let's take a look at the traffic situation on this very last day of the very first working week of 2026.
Tuanze na weather. In Naivasha this morning, it's 12 degrees, clear skies with periodic clouds, highs of 24 degrees, so it's quite hot in Naivasha. Precipitation 0%. The weekend, it will drop just by 1 degree to 23 degrees, but next week it will be hotter, 26 degrees.
All right. Mount Kenya region in Meru, a bit chilly this morning at 13 degrees. They say it is a clear day with periodic clouds, highs of 22, so it's generally very cold in Meru today. Very little precipitation either way. And this will drop. Temperatures will drop over the weekend down to 21 degrees. So if you're going to Meru, kuna kijibaridi cha asubuhi.
All right. Weather in Maralal, 14 degrees, clear skies with periodic clouds, highs of 25 degrees. The precipitation in Maralal today is nothing, 0%. So no chances of rain here.
Right. Down south at the coast, kama bado kuna ule bado anasema pesa yake haijaisha ya holiday, sawa. Anyway, keep on enjoying. 26 degrees this morning, partly cloudy, a bit of precipitation expected in Malindi, highs of 29 degrees. This will continue into the weekend and into next week, and I think it's averaging 29. Very beautiful holiday weather there.
All right, twende kule Kakamega. Wanatikisa watu kule.
Kisiasa imeleta joto mpaka hata teknolojia.
Lazima tuangalie. We will look for it. Itake isitake. Weather in Kakamega today. Tuone huku ambapo I think we have it.
Right.
16 degrees in Kakamega. It's a mostly cloudy day. Highs of 31 degrees.
Wow, 31 is quite hot.
It's very hot indeed. Precipitation 10%. This is very minimal. Lakini jua inawaka kuwaka. Finally.
Nairobi. Warmer than usual, 15 degrees in Nairobi today. Clear skies with periodic clouds, highs of 26, which is warm, and this will continue into the weekend. But next week, ukumbuke, by midweek, tutakuwa tumegonga 27, after that 28, 28, 28. So it's going to be a very hot week next week. But for today, a bit comfortable weather. So that's the weather situation across most regions of the country. Generally warming up, very little rainfall expected in most parts. Let's take a look at the traffic situation. We've seen that this entire week, a lot of traffic is centered around the CBD. This early morning, it's still the same situation even this morning. You can just see how busy that Landis Road roundabout is next to Muthurwa and Machakos bus station. Both sides of Haile Selassie Avenue, the entire stretch from the railways roundabout down to the Landis Road roundabout is very busy. And this extends into sections of Landis Road, the one opposite Machakos bus station heading towards town. So a very busy CBD, especially areas around where buses and other transportation to upcountry are located. The major tributaries into town, nothing out of the ordinary. Jogoo Road actually very smooth this morning. This is not even the usual build-up. Leo ni kama hakuna watu wengi wako Jogoo Road. Hata Outer Ring Road ni kama wajaamka. It's green on both sides of the road, all the way from Thika Road down to the Eastern Bypass. Thika Road, all the way from Ruiru coming down to the Pangani interchange, it's green. So nothing to report there. Even the Pangani interchange is quite slow this morning. Just a short stretch of yellow there. Haijakuwa red yet. Leo ni kama watu bado unajua ile Friday feeling. Yeah, other major tributaries, that's Mombasa Road and Waiyaki Way into the CBD are looking green, and the entire network of roads on the western side of the city are green also. So that's a traffic situation.
12 minutes past 6 a.m. Let's have the quote of the day.
Bright moments surround you. Look up, breathe deep, and let go of gloom. Life's goodness deserves your energy more than pain does.
All right, let's come back and take a look at how Trump is messing us up. All right, rattling the world, Donald Trump. There's a big story here on the front page of the Standard. They say you are on your own. The world was jolted on Wednesday after US President Donald Trump abruptly ordered Washington's withdrawal from 66 international organizations, sending shockwaves through the global aid, climate, and security architecture. See some of the conversations we've been having here, even led by President William Ruto, while very dependent on some of this money. For Kenya, the move lands like a hammer blow. Nairobi now faces a potential 45 billion shilling hit as UN agencies and multilateral bodies with deep roots in the country brace for funding cuts, threatening jobs, development programs, and the city's standing as Africa's diplomatic capital. You remember, sometime last year we were talking about a plan to move more UN organizations to Nairobi. And we're talking about how the rent in areas like Runda, probably even extending to Kiambu Road and Muthaiga would be affected. But now this is a game changer. Many people are hoping, okay, fine, the next US president comes and reverses this. But then again, it is up until 2028 that we have to stay with Donald Trump as US president. With all these decisions, USAID last year, now funding shock to Kenya's development system. They've withdrawn about 45 billion shillings in annual UN and affiliated program funding. Yeah? So the impact on UN agencies like UN Habitat and UNEP, which are both headquartered in Kenya. These ones are purely in Kenya. This are facing a downsizing as US funding dries up. Donald Trump has always said that global warming is a lie, is a scam. Yeah. But you see, many of these, UNEP, UN Habitat, have been talking a lot about that. So I'm saying because of that, he's withdrawing all the money and withdrawing. Actually, the US has left those groupings. Yeah. Where this one is definitely going to be a game changer.
Is making America great again?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they become great by doing this. So this is the main story. I don't know why they've not told us which page to read the story from.
Page 4.
Page 4, yes. So Kenya braces for 45 billion shilling hit as Trump abandons diplomatic hub. Now, yes, the 45 billion shilling is directly funding the UN agencies, but now this will have a knock-on effect on residential houses, especially in areas that house people who work for the UN, areas like Ruaka. Hii mambo itakuwa ngumu sana. US climate retreat hits Kenya's drylands is another angle to it. And US move puts funding of aid groups, climate and security at risk. The fight against terror is another one where the US has really come in handy, and the US funding, because the US has traditionally been the biggest financier of all these organizations. Now, once they move, this will definitely affect us. And they've gone even on page 6. Kenyans face pain at the pump as Trump targets Venezuela oil. Now, you see, now that's another angle. Even matters to petroleum, itatusumbua. How US withdrawal of support may hurt anti-terror efforts is another story there on page 6. Where? Kitaturamba. On the back page of the Standard, Guardiola downbeat about Man City's faltering title bid. Should we really say faltering? Because yesterday Arsenal was supposed to have gone 8 points clear. They did not. So, because they also drew against Liverpool. So this must have been produced before that happened. A lot of AFCON stories also on the inside pages 30 and 31 of the Standard. You can read more on that.
All right. The Daily Nation, housing taking time bomb. Say construction industry experts, including engineers and architects, warn that years of inaction despite probes into collapsed buildings have emboldened rogue developers, describing the impunity as a ticking time bomb that is fueling the rise of unsafe skyscrapers and apartment blocks vulnerable to collapse even from slight tremors. Corruption, counterfeits and political interference blamed for crisis. And I was listening to these experts speaking yesterday. They're saying, kama unaishi kwa nyumba ambayo huwezi ona light, natural light, regardless of which room you are in your house, you're at risk.
Wow.
Now in numbers, the number of buildings that have collapsed since 1996 is 200. Number of buildings classified as very dangerous by the NCA, 723. Experts say, we are living by the grace of God. If a tremor were to happen today, many buildings would come down. That is Architectural Association President George Ndege. The Architects Alliance Senator Sylvia Kasanga says we worry about counterfeit alcohol because it kills, yet our buildings are killing us silently. And Shama Kiteme, that is President IEK, he says, if we do not address this mess, we will forget this tragedy and another building will collapse. Of course, they're addressing this after the 15-story building that collapsed. And
I think the greatest concern is that we've had such cases before. Every year, a building comes down, kills even more people than this one did. Someone is arrested, we see them arraigned in court, and then nothing happens. After that, the case dies.
Hostile takeover, UDA raids ODM grassroots machinery. It's a showdown, and a new front has opened in the broad-based government, with some ODM leaders alleging that President Ruto's party is raiding their ranks to assemble regional campaign teams for 2027, even before any formal agreement with the ruling UDA. 39 billion shillings US fraud, how Nairobi farm got billions, and the Registrar of Companies in Nairobi approved a new farm that is Capital View Properties Limited. The company's registered office is in Nairobi South C off Shapara Road. It wasn't long before the company's story surfaced in a US court. Abdi Aziz Farah, who has since been jailed for his role in At 38.7 billion shillings fraud, wired is dirty cash to this firm. This story is on page 3. No bank loans for junior schools. It's another interesting story on page 7. You see the Ministry of Education has cautioned heads of institutions against entering junior schools into financial contracts with the approval of the Cabinet Secretary. The circular also bars them from charging parents extra levies.
Page 2 of the Daily Nation has that story we started with yesterday about Jimmy Rungu, who was hoping to hug a tree for 80 hours. He managed 79 hours, and that has been a very big discussion online. Scorned at first, Irungu wins many hearts after hugging a tree for 79 hours. You can read more on page 2. He was only 30 years old.
30 years old?
Yes.
On the back page, 22 titles between them. Who will blink first? 5-time champs Cameroon clash with host Morocco. 2019 winners Senegal face Mali today. This is AFCON. Quarter-final stage set for a fiercely competitive run into the final. That's the Daily Nation.
All right. Let's move on now to siasa. Kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo anasema Joho amezea kiti cha Oburu. Na tumekuwa tukizungumzia chama cha ODM kuanzia Jumatatu wiki hii. Yeah. Sasa anasema kuna mapambano mapya ya kisiasa yanatokota katika chama cha ODM baada ya viongozi wa Pwani kusisitiza waziri wa madini na uchumi wa baharini Bwana Hassan Joho apewe wadhifa wa kiongozi wa chama. When the widow of former Prime Minister was hosting a birthday party at her current residence, these leaders from the coast hosted something similar there. And walipiga debe sana hiyo masuala ya uongozi wa ODM. Wanasema inafaa ikuwe ni yao pia. Incidentally, they're the ones who hosted the 20th anniversary of the party last year. So akijibu shinikizo za viongozi, Joho awahimiza wawe tayari kumuunga mkono. Kwa hivyo amekubali. Sema wanaosema wataniunga mkono nitakapochukua uongozi wa chama wanapaswa kuanza kupanga hatua zao. Wamekuwa wakipigana na Sifuna sana watu wengi katika ODM, kumbe vita ni vingi zaidi. Masuala mengine tukisalia kule Mombasa, Nasir aajiri aliyekuwa mlinzi wa Raila. Ni gavana wa Mombasa ameajiri Morris Ogeta kwa mshauri wa masuala ya usalama katika kaunti hiyo ya Mombasa. Habari zaidi za kimataifa, Trump aondoa USA kwenye mashirika 66, tumezungumzia hayo. Kwengineko masuala ya spoti kule Morocco, wanyonge Mali ugani leo AFCON. Kocha Saint Fiet ana imani wataondoa Senegal robo finali katika robo finali mbili zitakazochezwa leo, zingine mbili hapo kesho. Masuala ya elimu pale juu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili, mwalimu apata afueni dhidi ya TSC. Huyu mwalimu aliyefutwa kuhepa hatarini kaskazini mashariki ameshinda kesi kotini. Nyingine hapa nzuri sana, kuonyesha ujumbe wa M-Pesa si halali. Wataalamu wa sheria wasema hatua hiyo inakiuka sheria za kulinda data za faragha za mtu binafsi. Unaenda mahali unalipa bila, alafu anakuambia hebu nione hiyo message yako ya M-Pesa. Alafu inabidi umuonyeshe na ushalipa, lakini sinaonyesha balance yako.
Lakini frauds ni wengi.
Sema inakiuka sheria za kulinda data za faragha za mtu binafsi. Mimi nikikulipa unafaa ukuwe na your own ways of verifying that that payment has been made. You don't have to come to my phone kuangalia. Hiyo nakubaliana nao. Ukurasa wa 4.
Hi, The Star, Natembeya shakes Ruto and ODM grip on Luhya vote. Ruto is still the most preferred presidential candidate for the Mulembe Nation. This is according to Infotech poll. This story is on page 4 and 5. New poll lifts lead on dicey political game for Ruto and opposition. They say half of the respondents say Natembeya is the leader who most influences the region's politics, while 36% describe him as the community's political kingpin.
Amepita Musalia na Weta.
And looking ahead, while Ruto is the single most preferred presidential candidate, the same poll shows that most residents support the opposition. Well, Natembeya is shaking Ruto and ODM grip on Luhya vote. This story is on page 4 and 5. Kenyans rally as pastor hugging tree exposes cancer's human cost. Another story on page 17, that is Pastor Jimmy Rungu, also there on the front page of this newspaper. Cabbage and sukuma wiki now cost as much as meat as drought bites. Tuliona earlier this year ilikuwa 150. Cabbage, 150 shillings in places like Nyanza.
Yes. Now it's costing the same as meat.
Yes,
Kwa hivyo sasa afadhali ukule tu nyama sasa.
Ya 150,
Kule tu nyama afadhali. Kama ulikuwa unajikazia tu unakula sukuma wiki, afadhali tu ukule hiyo nyama. Bei ni moja.
Agenda in Mudavadi's call for referendum before election is another story on the Siasa pullout. Page 6. Why ODM's Edwin Sifuna is not sitting pretty despite truths. That story is on page 7. This is the Star. Fresh, independent, different.
That same story about Luya politics is what features on the front page of the People Daily. They say Luya reawakening. A sleeping giant starts to stir. Potential kingmakers making up 14.3% of the population, Kenya's largest community, holds the numbers that can swing any presidential race. Yes, they do hold the numbers, but there's something called the elusive Luya unity because they've never been united in any election. They vote different ways because of the many different subgroupings that are there. So they have, I think they're talking about the same info-track poll about what's happening in Western Kenya with George Natembeya there with 50% approval, followed by Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula. Edwin Sifuna also makes it here, which is huge. And yesterday we talked a lot about Edwin Sifuna, and I remember Fanyamambo Kinodia says that Sifuna should not be considered a Western Kenya leader. He is a national leader. Well, tutajua mbivu na mbichi. Away from politics, education under attack, reclaiming Kenya's schools, and we'll be talking more about education later as the ministry releases the KCSE results. Palejugan grudges and Chapter 6, Kenya's high-stake politics. This one makes reference to that incident somewhere in Kilimani where two city politicians were involved in a gun drama, the Kileleshwa MCA and Embakasi East MP. People Daily.
History education. A former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said something yesterday that has rattled feathers. I don't know if you saw it.
Yes, about schools in a certain region.
Yes.
That the communities there have really contributed to building them, so they should be allowed to use them. Well, it's a big discussion, I know.
Yes. SACCOs seek Treasury tax lifeline amid cash pressure. This is the Business Daily. These SACCOs with corporate or group members are seeking a change in law to caution them from high taxation by KRA amid rising liquidity pressure. In submissions to the Treasury, the Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives, that is KUSCO, argues that many of the SACCOs that have onboarded group members are exposed to heavier taxation, straining their liquidity and hurting their ability to lend at affordable rates. Jitters in Kenya's sugar industry as COMESA import safeguards lifted. The decision by the government to lift safeguards on cheap sugar imports from sugarcane growing members of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, that is COMESA, has rattled the traditional troubled industry. And last year we hosted the COMESA summit. This is the 17th, but we hosted that summit last year at the KCC. On the ticker, dropped Adani power lines, blow 32 billion shillings hold in a public-private partnership funding. Kenya's trade deficit with China widened 17% in 9 months, and CBK raises 60 billion shillings from January long-term bonds. That's the Business Daily.
All right. So once again, a reminder that today's discussion will be focusing more on youth unemployment. Educated but unemployed, where did we go wrong? Every Friday, it's the youth perspective. We'll be having young, educated Kenyans in studio. Just tell us, okay, fine, where do we go from here? How did we get here? In a few minutes' time. Later on, of course, being a Feel Good Friday, DJ Rhymes will be here to bring us some gospel edition of Feel Good Friday. Bansi Kimuyu and Odida will be dancing, so you can come back later and watch them dance.
Nakwanga wanoma hapo. Boss Emoji will also be joining us for Feel Good Friday today.
All right. Tuangazie karakacha tuone tunazungumzia nini leo, wachoraji wanasema nini, na niliwaambia ni Trump. So we start off with the cartoon on the Star. Caricature of Donald Trump. Ameingia UN na hii ni ile UN bank, ameenda kwa counter akasema I'd like to make a few withdrawals and close a few accounts please. Ametoa US kwa 66 UN organizations. Hii italeta shida sana.
Labda ni the Donald Trump kweli.
The Donald.
Hii animal nilikuwa nashindwa ni gani?
He's a bull, a raging bull.
Bas. Donald Trump as a bull. This is the Daily Nation, right?
Amedunga hiyo dunia na anapumua tu, anatoa tu moshi.
Waka kama dragon.
So there's from matters to do with Donald Trump, I think the other big discussion is on education matters. So here we have a caricature of parents caricatured here as a donkey that has a very huge burden: books, uniforms, school fees, hidden fees, school trip. Kwanza school trip, lazima watoto waende trip, si wasome tu warudi nyumbani, wataenda ushago mshwama. Hayo acha hiyo maneno. Unaambiwa ulipe 400,000 waende Dubai.
Pelekeni watoto trip nyingi.
Kuja hapa ni wapeleke huko ushago. Hata sisi hatukwenda trip.
Sisi tulienda.
Mpaka mwanafunzi anahurumia wazazi. Anasema, how free is this free education? This is a cartoon on the People Daily. Nyewe wazazi. Unajua you still are not a parent. Ndio maana hapo ndio iko shida.
Na umpeleke mtoto trip. This is the standard. Still education. Capitation, Ministry of Health iko pale lakini haitoki.
Sasa shida inakuwa ya nani?
Parent.
Mzazi tena. Wazazi. Tuangalieni tafadhali. Anyway, matters education as well as what Donald Trump is doing, making it to the cartoons this morning, meaning that those two are the biggest discussions. We'll be discussing matters to do with education with my panelists in a short while. Online.
Admin anasema ni January ama ni January. This January is not Januarying like other Januaries Januaried. Una watch ukiwa wapi? Hiyo ni admin. Anasema January is not January.
Nimekataa.
Okay. Advice Pastor Emmanuel Barasa anasema good morning, Kitengela well represented. Hii ni January. Ulikula sana December alafu unakuja kuekelea January.
Kwani kuna pesa?
Ni mlienda ku show how you live big in the city.
We enjoyed. Tulikuwa ushago sindo tulikuwa tuna rule huko.
DJ Freddy anasema tuned in from Bamburi Mombasa. Tutumie kuangalia January. Tutumie torch kuangalia January. Okay. Betty Dimbo anacheka tu pale, tunakuona, asante for watching. Omolo anasema kwani uko na do? Wewe una? Catherine Manjuguna anasema January. Kuna Shagnis anasema it is you that is Januarying. Yusuf Ali, morning too, and I watch from County 003.
All right. Konki Master anasema watching from River Road. Godi Minishi, I'm watching it from Kivaya, Kakamega. Good morning. Na leo watu wa Kakamega wameamka kama ni vile wako kwa magazeti. Ruth Karani says hii January my birthday month. Kama ulizaliwa January, pole kwako. Pole kwako. Sijui tutakusaidia namna gani. Watching from Kamae Gatingaine. Ruth Karani ni January my birthday month. No, I think that we've read that one. Isaiah Walumoli Wanasianda. January watching from Eldoret.
What a wonderful name that is. Interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X. At TV47 Digital, you can tag me as well at @Ann_Dida. The hashtag is what?
Morning Cafe TV47.
Najua ni hiyo Mama Sianda imeni distract.
My handle on X is @FredIndimuli. See you after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Ouma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I didn't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments. Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Meteorologist, what is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Forget. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Forget is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Anyway, furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni Punet. So you guys knew about Piga.
Sawa basi. Sema, I don't give it the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship, and family as we explore the stories that shape our connections. Then satisfy your appetite with Tasty Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where Anne serves up delicious recipes, cooking tips, and the latest food trends to inspire your next meal. Relationship Wednesday and Tasty Wednesday every Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Morning Cafe.
Your nose alone won't always tell you if your eggs have gone bad. To find out, gently place uncooked eggs in a bowl of cold water. If an egg sinks to the bottom, it's A-OK. If it floats, it's seen better days.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Ilikuwa Betty, I didn't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist, what is that word?
Tune in.
All right, welcome back and good morning once again. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to have our discussion this morning. Every Friday we have the youth and we get the youth perspective. Today, yes, we are still focusing on matters youth, a specific youth unemployment. So it's titled Educated but Unemployed, Where Did We Go Wrong? So Kenya's overall unemployment rate stood at approximately 5.4% in 2024. With youth, and we're talking about ages 15 to 24, unemployment at around 12%. However, broader youth unemployment, now ages between 15 all the way to 34, which is just a year below the 35 age where youth is capped, is far more severe, with reports indicating rates as high as 35 to 67%. By 67%, it's like two-thirds in certain analysis. The youth comprising of up to 84% of the unemployed population. Over 10 million youth are currently in active employment in the labor force, with about 31% either underemployed or unemployed. Now, despite producing tens of thousands of graduates annually, which is about 70 to 80,000 from our universities every year, many face prolonged job searches, often taking years or end up in roles far below their qualifications. We have graduates, people with masters working as security officers and such like jobs. So a recent report highlights that skills mismatch remains a primary driver, with employers noting deficiencies in practical, technical, digital, entrepreneurial, and soft skills like problem-solving, communication, and adaptability as part of the problem. This is what we want to discuss today with a very young panel of well-educated Kenyans, young Kenyans, who, some of them are in employment, but they do have relatives and friends who are not employed. And we just want to get what the disconnect is. There are quite a number. I may not be able to introduce all of you. Probably when I give you a chance to comment, you'll introduce yourself first and what you do and give your contribution. We still do expect that quite a number of people will be joining us as well as we continue the discussion. Let me start with you, Gakuna, because you're a familiar face on this panel. Gakuna Castro is a political scientist and founder National People's Guard. Do you agree that, yes, there's a huge disconnect and this has to do with skills mismatch? It's not about going to school. It is what you go to school to do.
Sure, Fred. Thank you so much for having me this morning. And for sure, Kenya, we have a very big disconnect, especially for those who went to school, the educated, and of course now the unemployed. We have a very burgeoning number of young people who went to school, educated, but they are still unemployed. And this is not a matter of, it's not an issue of whether they are skilled or not. You know, the curriculum that we studied are different from the CBC. Of course, the CBC is skilling kids or skilling students, and of course, to have some skills, some life skill. And this, what we learned in school, I was just last night trying to figure out whether in school we learned experience or we learned skill. Because I tend to agree that the system that we went through gave us experience, but when we come to now the outside world, the outside of jobs, now they need more experience than what you experienced in school. Mm-hmm. Because what we were trained for we are trained to face challenges, to think over and apply whatever we have learned from classroom and whatever experience that we have experienced in our lifetime, and apply into our market, or the job market. But the job market demands even more. It demands you to have the degree, it demands you to have the master's, it demands you to have even years of experience, 10 years of experience.
But is that the requirement? Because there seems to be a disconnect. That, and allow me to pose it to Sakawa Ombengi, as a youth leader from the Jubilee Party. People have graduated, master's degrees, some of them even PhDs. If that is what the industry needed, as you say, then everything would be okay. But the problem is, yes, you have the papers, but you're not getting the jobs. So do you agree with Castro that the job market is demanding for those papers? Because if at all that was true, then everyone would be employed.
Thank you very much. I think according to me, what I'd say is that I'll use an example of my father. Growing up, they were known as the most educated people in the village. They had all the papers. They were the first engineers in the village. And my father immediately finished university. He was able to get a job. But if you fast forward 2026, you find it is very hard to get that job. You've just mentioned about how even people who are doing labor jobs having masters, it is because there's no that market demand as much as it was before, because now everybody has papers. Mm-hmm. So now what we need to do is diversify. I think being a member of Jubilee Party, during the Jubilee administration, I can remember one thing that happened was that they tried to encourage many young students after Form 4. They don't necessarily have to go to the university. They can go to TVETs to be able to get those skills because they wanted to expand the market.
Yes.
Yes.
And because Kenya is a growing economy, Njeri Mbogo from the National Chair wa Rembo na DCP, Kenya is a growing economy, meaning that there is demand for labor because growth requires labor. Yet universities are churning 80,000 graduates every year who are simply unemployable. Do you agree that that is a disconnect, that probably what this economy needs and what universities are doing are not in tandem?
Okay, I kind of agree with you. And I think there is a lot that the government should be doing in making sure as much as people are graduating, they are creating jobs opportunity, like constructing industries that can thereafter take these young people. And I also agree with my friend here, the youth leader from Jubilee Party. We need also to emphasize on having technical skills that will help young people. When you go outside, you can meet the standard or requirement of the employer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me talk to Blanche now. And the issue now, because I hear she's taking the blame now straight to government. The government should. But don't you think that probably the issue is even with the youth themselves, that the kind of education you seek, with all the information you have, people still want to be doctors, people still want to be a certain white-collar job officer, yet you know very well there are no jobs. Don't you think that the youth are part of the problem? Introduce yourself fully and the title you hold as well.
Well, good morning. My name is Jamil Blanche from Mongatalongai. I'm a youth leader and a chairperson for an empowerment hub, self-help group for women. Well, youth are part of the problem. The government is part of the problem. And what I can actually say this morning is that youths that graduate annually from our institutions, the demand for jobs is high. As you can see, the numbers are also high. And I really think it's not, it's partly the youth, the government, and everyone everywhere. But the real issue that I feel like is causing this havoc is the true cost of living it has been said that the GDP has risen statistically, but if you interact with people on ground, things are totally different. Businesses are closing, enterprises are closing, and also policies that are there to actually maybe influence and support entrepreneurship for youths, they are not favorable. If you look at what the government, His Excellency, what he started, the fund, the Nyota Fund, it's a good initiative, but the sustainability part of it is not really working. Because tell me, you give me 50,000 today to go start a business as a youth. How much does a license cost? And part of it, capital for sustainability to grow that business. Like, do you see it sailing through more than actually 3 months? If you look at the Job Expo part of it, youth going abroad to work, you know how expensive that is. Tell me, mtoto wa mama mboga mke aende apate opportunity ya kwenda ngambo, ya kwenda Qatar, kwenda Dubai to go do all these things. Passport and all that. Niambie mtoto wa mama mboga atatoa wapi pesa yote kwenda? It's really expensive.
Okay.
And what I would really advocate for is for our leaders, especially in Parliament. I keep on insisting Parliament because they have so much power and the funds. If I manage to get into Parliament as a future leader, I would advocate, I'll push for a policy, I'll push for a bill that is going to create a safe net for our youths, such that in every enterprise, every industry, any manufacturing field absorbs a certain percentage of the youths.
All right. And thank you for that. It's interesting you've mentioned the fact that many Kenyans are going abroad. Allow me to introduce Victor Sankara, an economist and youth advocate as well. But even the kind of jobs that Kenyans who travel even to the US or to any other first world economy, even in Qatar and elsewhere, that they go to do, is not the kind of jobs people go to universities for, yes? But they are willing to go do those manual jobs there, become plumbers, electricians and all these things. But in Kenya, people who graduate from university don't want to be plumbers. Don't you think that that is a problem, part of the problem?
Well, thank you, Fred, for having me today. I think the problem that we have in Kenya is not just about education and unemployment. It is an economic problem, because the youths in Kenya, they lack jobs, not because they don't have papers or they are not aggressive enough to look for the jobs. It's about the economy. The economy is not wide enough to accommodate everyone who is joining the job market. Because here in Kenya, 1 million people join the job market every year. But look at the kind of industries and job opportunities that are available for them. So you get that someone who is out of university, he has the requisite skills, but now the jobs are not there. So it means that for this person to survive, because after all, we all need economic empowerment. We want to create wealth. And so you find that being a security guard here in Kenya will not pay as much as being a security guard in the Gulf or being a cleaner in Europe. So that's why you find that the youths are willing to go out there and do those menial jobs which otherwise they could not be doing here. And so this is a policy problem whereby the government should, and those people who are policymakers, especially those in Parliament, because I think Parliament is the biggest impediment to this. Because when you look at unemployment, every time when the youths cry about unemployment, the government takes a very lazy approach to it. You see them giving out slashers and wheelbarrows to the youth, saying that now they're bringing kazi mtaani, but that's not the way it should be. You can't educate a person for 16 years. Parents are selling their assets and they are being impoverished. Then after all that, instead of that youth getting a job that can help his community, is given a manual job which otherwise even just a Class 8 dropout could do. So you find that this person has skills, but the skills are underutilized. We need to bring them into the production economy.
Let's focus on the skills now. Because
Yes.
you've talked about skills and you say that people who come out from universities actually possess the skills. Skills in what? And that's the question. Because according to a report, they say there is a skills mismatch. That yes, you've been educated with certain skills coming from universities, but the economy or the industry or this society, those are not the skills they need.
Yeah, sure.
Do you agree that probably even the education that we have, and probably these are affected one generation, now that is part of the problem, that yes, you may say you have skills, and 1,000 of you may have the same skill, but the economy does not need that kind of skill that you have.
Yes, that's very true, because the education system in Kenya is actually big on producing white collar people. I can say they produce more managers than workers. So you find that most people want to be managers, and those are the skills which they possess.
Yes.
But now we need more people with technical skills and the digital skills, which can now be used in the current economy, because the curriculum, I think it needs to be tweaked a little, so that they can encourage people to get into these technical areas that require hands-on.
Okay. And I think now we're getting closer to where the problem is. And Castro, do you agree that, yes, that's where the issue lies, that even if we produce 80,000 graduates every year, and the economy needs plumbers and technicians, then we're missing the point. And that this could have disadvantaged a certain generation of people, mainly millennials, who have gone through education through the 844 system. They're the graduates now who are not getting jobs. Do you agree that there's a certain generation that has been disadvantaged by this?
Yes, sure. I tend to agree on that one, especially the millennials. There's a generation that has been caught up by this mismatch. The millennial generation actually, because their education was served more on the way my brother said, of the managerial skills. But again, I also tend to think that we have also an issue of absorption, job absorption in the market, because how the systemic has been, of course, engineered, it has been engineered to just absorb those who are very closer to the system, or those who are very closer to those people who absorb people into the market. Maybe nepotism and also tribalism has also costed young people from the experience or those skilled best fit for that task. And many young people are being used actually by those people who have no know-how, or the technical know-how of performing or solving a puzzle. So you'll find that the young people, they have the solution. They have the idea of solving or a puzzle, or solving a disconnect or a distrust in this Republic of Kenya. But the trust and the goodwill by those people who are responsible for solving such kind of, or taking care of such kind of systemic disconnect, it's not there. We do not have the goodwill of the government to support young people who are rising up into the industry. I myself am a political scientist by profession. So, and in Kenya, we do not have that the culture of course respecting professionalism like any other countries outside the group. I have worked with clients, or I worked for clients outside the country in serving them in government relations and regulatory issues. And what my firm does, I'm able to learn how much those people may respect the kind of a skill or service you are offering them, unlike Kenyans. For Kenyans, for political scientists like me, they believe that you are only in politics, what you can serve is only in politics, and that's why those now you're near, who are you, because now the fact that I have engaged in politics, those are people now who should absorb such kind of a mind, and you advise these people, because I've been advising some of these MPs, and I have been advising the cabinet secretaries on some of the issues. But absorbing now your ideas, or absorbing your mind, becomes also very hard because they think also politically you're trying to outmaneuver, their idea or their kind of thinking. So we have an issue also with absorbing. So many young people are being used by those people who have no know-how of solving such a kind of a puzzle, but they are not willing to absorb the people who have the
And the
knowledge.
concern I have now, even as we go on a break, is the fact that we all appear to be blaming someone else, the government, the system, the economy, that it's not absorbing the skills we have, and probably that's not what they need. Can we get to a point where we take responsibility? I'm just asking a question. I do not know. You will give me the answer. But that after the break. Today we are probing this disconnect between the level of education that our youth have and the level of unemployment. Education, no jobs. That after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. We continue with my panelists made up of young, well-educated Kenyans, many of them in the job market, trying to discuss the disconnect that's currently existing in the labor market, educated young Kenyans, but with no jobs. And just before the break, I posed the question, could it be that we are not able to take full responsibility of what happens to us, and we are quick to blame the government and other players for the lack of jobs. But let me just sample some of the views from our viewers. The question we posed on our social media pages is, why are so many educated Kenyans still struggling to get jobs? Is it the education system, the economy, or leadership failure? Eugene Shadrach, as expected, goes straight, leadership. Ondiek Otieno, leadership system. Everyone is quick to blame leadership. Roni alisema, rais alisema jana si lazima tukue na masomo, leadership. Onyango Vuvaik says, when I see my name, any name of these political parties our youths are affiliated to, you people, then I know something is not making sense. We are the problem for having elected bad leaders. Leadership, you see? Leadership failure, it is not about education, it's about who you know. Castro had said that. It's still about leadership, leadership system, leadership. But Jackson Perimo says, mindset. Many graduates or educated people believe government will employ them immediately after graduation. One person was differed there. Someone says all combined. Kipkemboi Ben Mutai says education and leadership system. Back to leaders, leadership failure, leadership. And could that be the problem, that we are very quick to just blame the leadership? Leadership failure system, ya majambazi, constitution. Motukutu Idiama says jobs are less than educated. Patrick Antonio, leadership failure. Birech Jr. says population is very high with less job opportunities. Let me sample a few more. Rono Franklin says education system, the 844 was office job related. Now office jobs are full. Production, manufacturing, processing, service sector are in need of workforce. But what we have in the market are office material. Yeah? Do you agree? And I kindly reintroduce yourself. Do you agree that that is a problem, that we are quick to blame someone else, but we are not taking responsibility of some of the decisions we made, that probably when we went to university and the skills we sought then, probably we didn't have much information about what the job market would require?
Okay, thank you. My name is Sakawa Ombengi from Jubilee Party, Youth Leader Jubilee Party. Well, honestly, I feel like the reason why most people are blaming the leadership is because government on its own has a lot that happens within the country. Matters economy, matters employment, because in as much as not everyone can be employed by the government, it is through the government that the economy can be sustainable enough to attract investors, to attract companies, to be able to create more jobs for the youth and the educated. Currently, we have seen a number of global companies shutting down the offices in Kenya, and that reduces the number of people who are employed. And if the government is not to be blamed, I don't know who can be blamed at that point. If you look at also a point whereby, in terms of during the Jubilee administration, I can defend by saying the government tried to cushion the youth by having programs like Kazi Mtaani, whereby it was a short-term program for the youth where they're paid for doing the jobs around the local areas, and with that, it sustained them to be able to get even the motivation and the financial support to be able to look for jobs across the various fields. And therefore, also one thing I'd say is that as a country, we might still be lagging in terms of job description. I studied public relations and international relations from Daystate University. And I can tell you for a fact that in Kenya, most people don't know what a public relations officer does.
Mm-hmm.
I did my internship at the Senate of Kenya, and as a public relations officer, most of the work that I was doing is either protocol or serving tea in the committees, and even being a receptionist at one point. And you wonder, is this what I'm expected to do as a public relations officer? So there are various reasons why it happens this way, but I think for the government, it is for them to guide us on how things can be. Okay. You know, there's a lot of free education since Kibaki's time. I don't know if it's still there, but the more educated people are, the more jobs that will be needed. And if we cannot be able to find a way to have the economy absorb them, then this will just end up being frustrating.
Okay.
Yes.
Because the question we asked was about skills mismatch. That yes, people are educated, but educated on what? And is the kind of qualification they have from the universities what is required on the ground currently? And I may give an example probably of content creation, something that has come up over the last few years that a generation slightly younger than you people probably has embraced, and they're making money from it. No employment by government, no employment by any organization, and a good chunk of people seem to be thriving in that. But this is technology, and it's a global thing. When we blame the government, aren't we trying to escape or to absolve ourselves from blame as well, in as far as the choices we make on what to pursue?
Well, that is a good question, but I also want to remind you that there was a point when the government wanted to tax content creators. There's a point whereby content, or rather people using X, the digital platform, were being abducted, whereby you're scaring people who would want to venture into that field. And, also referring to your question whereby you said so many people are going to school, but are they the skills that are needed outside here? I think during the, allow me to again remind you, during the Jubilee administration, we were able to have the late C.S. Magoha being able to remove some of the courses in the universities which were not applicable in the Kenyan society. And I think it was in such ways that we can be able to avoid things whereby people are graduating from the university, they have a degree, but they cannot get a job outside here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Juliet, good morning, karibu sana. You'll introduce yourself and your title, but we're just trying to probe this disconnect. And there's been this talk about TVETs, training and vocational training, technical and vocational training, because it has been identified as a gap that, for example, how many people here know of a plumber? A person, a friend of yours, an age mate of yours who works as a plumber. Yeah. It's a big problem that many people are not able to get plumbers to fix one or two things. Such skills can be obtained from TVETs, but it is also understood that many young Kenyans are not interested in pursuing that kind of training, technical and vocational training. Do you agree that that is where the problem lies? Partly.
All right. My name is Juliet Nyabuto. I'm the chairperson, Queens for Matiangi. I think we should address the elephant in the room. When we grow up, we are first told, maliza shule, enda university, kimaliza university. You know, there's that transition. When we're in school, we have the debates, education is better than money, or we have to, you know, and by that time, you know, we're defending education. We never used to defend money. I think maybe that's where the problem came from, because we didn't understand how the economy works out there, that, you know, you could have the education and you could not have the money. And I sit here, and if you had told me after Form 4, I will join a TVET, or there was that kind of stereotype that you have to be educated enough. You look so educated if you're in the university. If you go to a college, to a technical university, you seem not to be as smart. And I think it's what the community shaped at that point. I remember, because I'm a journalist by profession, I remember after completing my Form 4, I really scored really good grades, and I was called to Egerton University, and I was trying to, you know, I wanted to do journalism, and I was like, I don't want to go to Egerton, it won't favor me. I want to come to either DStv or the University of Nairobi. And I remember when I was having that conversation with my parents, they were like, why don't you take a short course at some technical university, start your journalism profession? And I was like, what will my high school, you know, classmates think about me? I'm in a college, I did so well. What am I doing in a college? It starts, I think, even in high school, they tell you, ensure umepata C+ and above. Ukianguka mtihani, you know, those people who get below C+ are usually shunned. They're treated a certain way. Even at home in family gatherings, if you've not scored very well, there's a way, you know, people tend to treat you. The same way with unemployed people. You go to family gatherings, you're not employed. The society treats you in a very this I don't know how to put
dismissive
it.
way.
Yeah, dismissive way. I don't know. It's not nice. So most people, especially for us who did 844 system, we tended to think 844, and then I'll do my master's, do my PhD, and then with all these papers, I'll be able to get the white collar jobs.
Do you agree that that is a problem that even now within this group that you would not consider being a plumber or a mason or a carpenter, for example? Yeah. Do you agree that that is a problem? Yet those skills are required by this economy. Then when we blame the government, Blanche, don't you think we should take part of the blame? That yes, if we understand the kind of information we have right now, that these skills are required, it is our mindset and the insistence on pursuing some degree papers that probably will not benefit us, that is a problem.
Well, let me say this. I come from Rongai, and I deal with youth a lot. I work with the office of the MCA Rongai Ward, and I interact with these people a lot. Some of the resources that you're able to offer as an office, these technical skills. We have partnered with colleges within town, our own TVET, Ole Kasarisi, Polytechnic, and that's why I send youths. So when you say that none of us here are like plumbers and whatever, carpenters and electricians are not there, imagine they are there.
Isn't it true?
A carpenter is there.
Let me challenge that. Isn't it true, as you continue contributing, isn't it true that those jobs and those opportunities, even for training in TVET, are left to people who did not necessarily perform very well in school, those who did not make it to university?
Partly, yes, but I'm also advocating for youths who have gone to universities to take an extra short course that will see you through before you get yourself a job.
Are they saying yes to that?
Of course, they're embracing it. My younger sister did engineering, and she took a course at Nairobi Bar School to practice barrister. That is the course that has employed her through before she got her white-collar job. And these skills, let me say, they're there. People have embraced them. We took at least 100 youths for driving courses.
Okay.
They are skilled, they have the driver's license, but a very little percentage of those youths are employed at the moment.
Question here, because most of you, I'm sure, probably have gone to university and you have that paper qualification. How many of you have pursued a technical or vocational training after you've obtained your degree from university? By a show of hands.
Myself.
Yes. What kind of training?
I did occupation safety here at St. John's Ambulance.
Okay.
And my target was to work with construction sites as a safety officer because they really pay good there.
So it's benefited you? Yes. What was of bigger benefit, the technical training or what the qualification you had at university?
I would say the technical training.
Okay.
Currently, I'm working in a white collar.
Finally, you still pursued the white collar job. Yes, Juliet. What kind of training have you undergone?
I did digital marketing. I think by 2023, it's when it was entering the market space. And there were very many opportunities, especially with online jobs. And doing digital marketing, even getting clients from abroad. It's a very good market space. I'd tell the young people, if you do have time, there are very free courses on Google. You could sit down, take a short course, a few months, or even sometimes weeks if you're serious. Yes. And you'll be able to accomplish it. And then you could use your certification to apply for these jobs. And I'd tell people sometimes when the job is not qua ground, tafuta pengine iko kwa hewa. So yeah.
Jay, what has been your experience? Have you undergone any training beyond the white collar training, probably?
Okay, mine I would just say after I did my Form 4, I had a friend of my family and she requested that I should come to Nairobi. Maybe I take a salonist course kwa salon yake. The humiliation that I got from the society, I want to talk about the society. How they perceive things, what you should be taking, the course you should be taking, matters a lot. When you do a technical course plus somebody who did law or even a teacher, you are taken like you are not serious with life. So, yes, I agree with my friend. There is that part of the government that they also required to do something, making sure every person who is graduating can get job.
Yet
But
saloonists are making a lot of money now.
But also, when it comes to young people, we must also accept to also have skills, just like my friend. I also think of doing one, so that at least you can be able to fit in the job market. And also, when it comes to going abroad, you cannot compare somebody who has done maybe caregiving and has a certificate and somebody from nowhere going abroad. You'll be paid better, and also you have easier time dealing with your client.
Yes. Sankara, don't you agree that probably that's the way to go? That beyond the white-collar qualification, that a technical skill, of whichever nature, and if at all you can have proper qualification on the same and certification on your skill, that could be a game changer, because we're trying to look for solutions here.
Well, well, that can be part of the solution, but you know, Fred, not everyone can be a plumber, and not everyone should be a mason. We also need these people to, we also need doctors, we need engineers, we need economists, and we also need nuclear scientists.
We have an oversupply of teachers currently, and our economy cannot absorb those teachers.
Well, because it cannot absorb them because of the policies that we are having. You know, we want to blame the youths, but actually, the youths have done their part. They've gone to school according to the curriculum that is already in place. Themselves, they can't change the curriculum to now focus on the technical skills. The curriculum itself is focusing on managerial skills.
And when we started this conversation, didn't we say that that is a problem? That the curriculum led us here, and now a huge chunk of a certain population is disadvantaged. They have paper qualification, but no skills that are needed in the economy. Don't you think that that is a problem we're trying to address?
Yeah, it's a very big problem, and this is about the attitude. As the graduates themselves have an attitude that the course which I have gone to school, I have acquired a degree from it. That's now the course which I should pursue. But now, if they can be encouraged maybe to pursue some other technical skills in line with what they've studied, not necessarily that you have a degree in education and then again you go to pursue a course in plumbing or carpentry. That will not be helpful. Maybe if you are an engineer, that's now when you can come into that line so that you lower your expectations. So it's all about the mindset and how also, as my friend has said, the society also needs to give us a break at least.
Do you think society has changed? The approach, this mindset coming from this generation that you're talking about that has been largely affected, that back then it was maliza shule pata A, enda kuwa daktari, ama enda kuwa mwalimu, ama enda kuwa engineer. That this society is treating the younger ones differently. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Go become a dancer on TikTok and make your money. Has society changed? Or what are you saying? What happened to the mindset?
Yes, sure, friend. The society has really changed, actually. And actually, even the millennials, the people who studied the 844, they are not waiting for the government to come and sort out their problem. They have known now how to sort out their own issues and the problem. They are not waiting now for people to at least create their jobs, because however we discuss or say the young people, they are also, they try to be adaptive. And the best thing with I studied another technical skill, or a skill on humanitarian logistics and international development. It may align more on my political science, but that's not what I was taught in classroom. I might have a knowledge of it, but getting out to the industry, it's my own effort to dig deeper onto what I need to focus on. And I think it has been very helpful for me also to learn on the School of International Sales, and try to open up markets for the Kenyan goods internationally, especially the Kenyan teas, and also try to navigate market access for new clients into the country or to the East African Republic. But that said and done, we have a very big issue with now the government there. The goodwill of the government to create opportunities for the young people. And I'm saying that with an experience of so many young people in these industries, but they have no support from the government. You'll find that maybe you want to liaise with a ministry or a certain agency, but they are not maybe willing to accommodate whatever you're having. Another issue is also on the government policies, the way he said, because we do not need 100 doctors who are earning 1 million, and we have 400 others who are unemployed. We need the 500 employed that is earning each 200,000. And it is possible because what we need to do is to, we have a very big issue on the health sector, and it is evidence that we have a very big issue in the health sector, for example, the health sector. And you can see that even the sharing of the beds by the patients also, where we need to not only now where we need now to pump or to serve nurses or to pump nurses into the society, rather than now trying to invite patients now into the hospitals. I think this is a very deep debate that we need to open up as a Kenya, and we need to open this debate at such a time when we are engineering and reinventing the leadership and governance of this country, because we have a very big issue. The way you're saying, even we have a very hurtful number of teachers who are still not absorbed into the market, and those who are not absorbed, the government is not willing to adopt them or adapt them now into the permanent and pensionable. We have seen these teachers from the CBC.
Don't you think that is part of the problem? This permanent pensionable, that kind of belief that this is how I should work, I should be employed by a certain organization on pensionable terms and all these things. Are we not unconsciously looking down on issues around self-employment? I don't know why it's being shunned upon, and issues like the Juakali sector, which have produced even millionaires as well.
Sure.
And they don't have those permanent and pensionable terms.
The sector actually, it's a booming, but for example, for the teacher, of course, the industry accommodates and adapt permanent and pensionable. So there is no reason as to why you should tell a young teacher or a young graduate that you should not be absorbed in permanent and pensionable. It's a very different case to the technical, the Juakali industry. That sector, it's informal, and that's why the government is supporting the informal sector. But for the formal sector, if the industry or the sector absorbs such kind of, it has that room to accommodate such kind of young people, then we should have such kind of people absorbed by the government, and it is possible. What we need to do is to have real-time solutions to a problem. You have heard the president saying that maybe we do not even need to be educated. You can see now the perception, because that ni kumaanisha.
And he got a lot of criticism for saying that.
Yeah, at a masomo hi-fi, you know, that kind of a disrespect to the education system, the disrespect to those who are educated. Of course, it's killing the motivation of the young people. That's why the education system in this country it's becoming.
Maybe what the president said was a bit serious. Maybe it's the way he said it, but don't you think it's true that we pursue education or graduate education without necessarily understanding what is coming at the end? Yet people who pursue technical training, they understand what they're going to become at the end, what skill they will be offering this economy. Don't you think that is a problem? Maybe the president just said it in a way that was not palatable.
Well, honestly, I think probably the president was saying that to campaign for his Nyota program. But honestly, I'll still go back to saying that all this is based on the economy. When you said that maybe the people who don't want to be plumbers, the people who don't want to be maids, housemaids, or other house managers.
I didn't talk about house managers. I talked about plumbers, where you go to school and train and get a technical skill for something, not just menial jobs for the sake of it. Proper training for a skill. Yeah.
Well, if you look at the people who usually converge at KICC when the CS of Labor, Alfred Mutua, calls for job applications, you see the number of people arriving there wanting to get that job opportunity. You look at the number of people who go even to the US. You can find someone had a very good job here, a white-collar job, but when they go to the US, what they're going to do is going to take care of the elderly people. So you find that they are going there not because that has always been their dream job. They're going there because the economy is better there, and with the economy better there, the pay is better. So if the economy were to be better here in the country, I don't see why people would be going against those jobs.
Would you, for example, if the economy was better in Kenya, would you, for example, work as a barber? Given the level of education you have, if a barber makes more money, would you become a barber?
Yeah, why not? Because, you know,
Have you considered it?
No, I actually would go for it because, you know, at the end of the day, we are not living to impress people. We are living to sustain ourselves, and especially as a man, to sustain your own family. So I'd rather be a barber and probably make 300,000 per month than being, let's say, a doctor and I'm making 80,000 per month.
Exactly, and it's that mindset that I want us to address now, that yes, we agree that some of this, what we may have considered low-level jobs, could be better paying. But because of our mindset and what society has put in us, we would not be caught anywhere near that. Juliet, do you agree that ni ngumu sana uende kuwa salonist na uko na university degree, hata kama salonist anapata pesa mingi zaidi?
I agree, and allow me to be a bit political. When CBC was formed, actually, it was during my deputy party leader's tenure. That was when Matiang'i was CS for education. And it was created so that we don't waste talents, we don't waste these technical jobs. Like if I'm good at, say, for example, doing nails, for example, there are people, right now, there are people who do nails and they make a lot of money. I go to town, how much I pay my nail tech, and he has like 5-6 clients a day, and you look at the amount of money he earns in a day, and you ask him, how much do you earn in a month? And he tells you, I earn this amount of money. Half of it, I give it to the owner of the salon. The other half I take it home. And you look at the amount of money he earns, and he earns more than a school teacher. He earns more than even a police officer. And you tend to ask yourself, why are we insisting that all of us should look a certain way? Again, society lied to us that lazima nivae koti, nieke marashi, ni brush viatu, niende kwa ofisi nikae. And I think that's why millennials are facing this problem more than even the Gen Zs. Because for us, the society really insists. For the Gen Zs, at least the internet, we are an internet generation. So by the time you're done with Form 4, already we had a lot of access to Google and all these online platforms. So we were able to, find a way to make money. I think that was when Facebook was blooming and people created pages, and then, Facebook started monetizing, and you'll see young people who are in campus with you, they do even articles, and they're making money. Some of them, they'd stay in even 20,000 apartments. And I think that was an eye-opener at that time. But you'd find out that the ones who came before you, 4 years, 5 years, they were still in that Kokunia, I'm done with campus, I'm going to look for a job. In 2 years, I'm starting my master's. It was like, I don't know if it's because of security again, because of the retirement benefit, I don't understand, but I would say the CBC is, I think, a better form of education than the 844 system, because at least it's more of competency. It's more of what can I do that can make me fit in the society.
Right.
That if I'm good at even mopping floors, like you'd see in the US, house cleaners make a lot of money, and even house managers, like he was saying in the US, they do in first world countries, they make a lot of money than even, the white collar jobs. So the same way, like I'm glad that the education system is being fine-tuned, that there'll be that transition, that I'm done with Form 4, I can go use my skills that maybe, there are people who know how to negotiate and sell things, my marketing skills, use my skills maybe to kushuka nywele. Again, if you go to town, you will see, like there are these salons, they'll tell you 1,000 bob all-inclusive. And they're making really good money, and most people don't know how to tap into that market. And if we were honest, and if the society would not look at us as failures, if our parents, the baby boomers, did not look at this generation and tell us, Koti, Nini, because that was their generation. They benefited from that.
Are they doing that to Gen Zs? That's the question, because it would appear it's a generational thing. Gen Zs appear to have been allowed blank check, you can do anything and earn money.
I think with the Gen Zs, again, we are an internet generation. We came when the internet was gaining momentum. So most of us, we are very vocal. So you tend to fight with your parents until inafika mahali mzazi anakuambia sawa basi we fanya kitu yenye unataka kufanya. Even for us to even take political spaces at a very young age, it's because we had to fight it and tell our parents, si saa yenyu, saa hii ni saa yetu. We also, our voices need to be heard. And
there's an issue, Blanche, sorry to cut you short, because we cover these pieces of news when it comes to police recruitment and military recruitment, and parents paying bribes as much as $1 million shillings to get someone into formal employment. That money could have been used to do anything else. In these mindsets, do you see it ending anytime soon? Because most people are unemployed because they're still waiting for military or police recruitment.
Well, on the issue of bribes and whatnot, I do believe like, in the near future when the economy is favorable to accommodate people and offload certain areas in terms of employment, our parents, as a parent, you wouldn't want to, if you have a chance, definitely, I understand where they are coming from. If you have a chance to like get your child a secure employment.
By secure, you mean?
You do it, and they do it actually, although I don't advocate for it. But I want to challenge everyone here. When you go back to your areas of residence, try as much as possible to talk to our youths. And at the same time, try to do partnerships with the businesses around, with the schools around. Try to fight for fellow youths. Place them somewhere. If it's not for a job, place them somewhere they will get a skill.
Yes. Isn't it a lack of creativity when you spend $1 million shillings to get a secure job? Yet that 1 million shillings would have set you up a whole spa or barber shop or something that and develop a skill or even train you through Tibet. Do you think that that is still a problem, that we do not know how to approach this economy and our creativity is still locked in a permanent and pensionable formal employment?
I really don't know what to say about that. But what I actually see and I would actually say is that if I get a chance to get myself a position that is right there, you really can't tell me to divert that amount to go like take a longer route. Really? It wouldn't make sense.
We're looking at a situation where these jobs are not even existing. Njeri, what do you think about the mindset that we have as a society?
It's very funny that I have a friend here who is advocating for corruption, and that is one of the issues that we have so many educated young people, but they don't have access to job. Also, we have the nepotism. If you know an uncle somewhere working under a certain ministry, you are very guaranteed, I'm doing this course and I will be securing a job afterwards. So myself, I always tell my fellow young people whom I've worked with for so many years that do anything, do any job until you get your dream job. Myself, I started as a fruit vendor. Pale Embakasi, pipeline, until I got to a situation where I could establish several businesses and working with several companies. So uanzie pahali so that at least you can get into a certain level that you need to work. Hata kama ni hiyo yenye watu sema maybe I don't want to be a mama mboga. We've seen and I'm so happy with the Gen Zs. Hawana aibu. They don't fear.
Aibu ni shida kubwa.
Hiyo sasa the perception that my fellow youth saying you are not lowering a certain standard so that you can maybe earn a living. You don't want to divert your energy maybe to becoming a tout. because you underwent university education and you became a teacher. But we've seen with the Gen Z, you can find a mama mboga who is actually a graduate and then making some money. Also, they have embraced social media. I have a friend who is a pharmacist and working from home. Amenunua dawa zake, amekeep in one of the section of his room, anaenda online, anawaambia he can be able to sell you, kama ni dawa fulani ya malaria, it is costing 200 shillings pale kwa chemist. Now that alipi rent, alipi license, unapata maybe he can sell it with 150. So that fear and perception from the society. Also, I want to talk about the government, because we cannot avoid to talk or to involve the government because they have the power and the money. That's why we pay taxes. We have the NYS, which should be accommodating every young people after Form 4 so that they can be equipped with the technical skills that will make them maybe earn a living even after joining the campus or the college, graduating. Before now getting the dream job, you can have something to sustain yourself and make a living. And that way, we could not be having so many crimes that we've been having. Young people being killed because I'm a snatch simu. Young people being killed because I'm a break into somebody's business. And at the same time, we have emphasized and talked about the technical skills. Kule mashinani, where I come from in Kirinyaga, and I'm sure even if you're in town, equipment zenye zinaitanjika to make sure hii technical job yenye napata. Nikienda kwa job market, kama mimi nimekuwa, tuseme ni mechanic, am I be able to maybe to handle gari zenye zinatokea? You see, everything is evolving, and Kenya tuko na shida because we are lagging behind. Gari zenye zina models zenye zinatokea saizi si zenye bambangu alikuwa na drive that time. Do we have the equipment, necessary equipment in our technical schools that will equip the young people with the skills, technical skills that will help them secure a job and not even securing deliver to the client?
It's interesting that you mentioned about NYS, and in as far as addressing that mindset thing, do you think, Sankara, probably it would have been better if we standardize the way we treat all our students, that if it is a requirement that we all gain manual things we can do with our hands, skills through NYS, if at all it was mandatory, do you think that would be one way of changing this mindset that if I get an A, mi lazima tu nikuwe daktari and I cannot do anything else with my hands?
Well, I think that will be problematic because those skills, there are people who want to do them, but now they can't access the technical centers because they are few. You can see the whole population of the Kenyan youth. We can't all be plumbers and masons, as I said earlier. I think we need to look at this issue holistically and also see the youth can also be self-employed. Even if you acquire those technical skills, you'll still need to put them somewhere, because the economy is not actually employing everyone. Even when you talk about the NYS recruits, I know many of them who have gone through those courses, but they've come out and they are still not getting employed because of many factors. We can say that there's a very high demand of plumbers, of saloonists, but it's just in the urban areas. When you go back to the villages, we have these people with the technical skills, but they can't acquire employment there. And that's why you see a parent is willing to pay 1 million Kenya shillings so that their children can get into formal employment, because this formal employment gives a semblance of security. You know that once you get employed, you are set. You are now set to go. But you can still go to school, get that technical skill, but it's still something that you need to, again, pursue for that job which the economy is not yet creating.
Okay. Let's talk about agriculture for one, because this is a mainstay and the backbone of our economy. At least that's what we say. And feel free even to blame the government on this one if you must, but how come the major or the main backbone of our economy is not providing opportunities for employment, even self-employment for young people?
Yeah, it's not providing employment because also we look at the mindset of the society. They think that tilling land is something for school dropouts, and again, they are not enthusiastic in agriculture, while agriculture, manufacturing, and agro-processing, these are sectors which have they have an ability to employ very many youths. If only the government can incentivize, maybe they can enable those sectors to grow by giving out maybe small. They can give technical help to those in the villages, so that they can come up. These sectors can improve and maybe employ even more.
But even when we go to school now, because the discussion today was about the level of education and the lack of jobs, and we're trying to balance. Watu wamesoma ndio lakini kazi hakuna. How many of your friends do you know who have gone to school to study issues around agriculture in Kenya, if at all it is a mainstay of our economy? Castro.
Sure. I know several who has the degrees and diplomas in agricultural sector, and I have friends of mine actually who have already in the agri business. Some of them they are doing now the innovative agriculture, the agri entrepreneurship, the hydroponics.
Do we have any who have gone to school for agricultural education and they have no jobs?
Yeah. There are so many of them who have gone to school to study issues of agriculture, extension services, but they are still unemployed. And you remember, this is a sector that should actually absorb young people or absorb Kenyans immediately, because it's a very booming sector. But it's a sector that is also vested with so many interests from each and every sector, or maybe each and every sector has some invested interest by those people who are called cartels. And I want to talk about the agriculture because I'm more on the tea sector, because I'm a tea farmer, I'm a tea preneur. And I'm saying a teapreneur because we are doing a value addition of the teas. Now we are generating carbonated or energy fruited teas. And these fruited teas, we have a very big problem because we do not have the facility to do the value addition or agro-processing here in the country. And the cost of course, doing it here is more bigger than the cost of doing from a foreign country and importing the final product. Ready to drink substance. So that issue, that discrepancy of the cost of production in the country is also scaring away young people from setting up such agro-processing factories or agro-processing industries. And also the agro-processing industries that we have, look at the sugar sector. The sugar sector, we just privatized the sugar companies that we have been having because they're not operational. And they're not becoming operational not because of their young people are not farming the sugar canes, or farmers are not farming the sugar. They are, but the administration and the management of those factories are not effective and efficient as it ought to be. Okay. Also, how are we as community or as government, and this one is on government, how are we supporting agriculture? How are we supporting the young people or the farmers in the agriculture? Because as in the tea sector, the industry is becoming now a rotten sector. Farmers are becoming tired of doing the same thing they have been doing with no results. So you don't expect young people who has been grown now to the tea sector to also come and realize that the sector is still not working the way it should be working, and expect them to use their time also to dwell much onto that. So it is high time the government try to create some sustainability in such kind of sectors, because even whatever the government is doing, whatever William Ruto as president is promising, whatever President Uhuru Kenyatta promised, it was never sustainable. You can look at how Uhuru Kenyatta tried to vote the young people through the Kazi Mitaani. Was it sustainable? It was not sustainable. Those are not the kind of jobs that young people are going to school to come and get created.
And I'd want to give the other four an opportunity to comment on either agriculture or any other sector you feel is underutilized in as far as production of employment is concerned. I just mentioned agriculture because that's the mainstay of our economy. There could be others. Even the housing sector is one of them. Let's start with you, Sakao.
About the agriculture sector, I feel like the agriculture sector, the reason why it is undervalued at the moment is because of all the, I don't know if I should say cartelism, because you find if it is manure, or rather fertilizer, there are so many cases about it. Farmers are not getting fertilizer, and if they are getting the fertilizer, it has issues like rocks inside fertilizer. And then example is like in the region of Gusii, Kisii and Nyamira, you find that the tea farmers are the lowest paid in the country, while I believe the tea in Kenya is equally produced. So you find people are not that encouraged or enthusiastic about it. You find for you to be able to produce even sugarcane, you know, it becomes a war zone. Look at the factories in Western. So it becomes a huge problem in terms of agriculture, where certain areas are thriving and certain areas are being either dismissed or they are being brought down. And part of certain parts of the key sectors in the country, you find this is also being relatable there, whereby it is a struggle to produce. Either you have to bribe people through corruption, or you either have to have fights. Let's say, for example, land. Land is a key issue in our country, whereby everybody is claiming to own that land, or there's fights among family members. So there are certain things that are making the economy being harder for the investors and also the farmers and also all key.
You feel like if at all the government would standardize the rates and how the level of earning for farmers, tea farmers, the same way they earn in Kiambu should earn in Kisii, do you believe that that would encourage university graduates to venture into that?
Well, that will be a start. It won't only encourage it, but it will be a start, because at the end of the day, if it's making good money, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Juliet, which sector do you think would be, or do you think agriculture could be the way out? Because we're trying to stop we don't want to make it a blame shop, just to complain and complain. Offer a bit of a solution as well.
All right. I think with agriculture, first things first, before even we talk about cost of even production, we need to find out, do we have even land that we can farm in? Am I able to afford land as a young Kenyan? Am I able to rent out land? Do I have that amount of money to even start with that in the first place? Do I even have the skills to understand agriculture? I'll say it again, most of the problem we have as a country again is the issue of, let's say, classism with jobs. Like we have mentioned before, the society, how the society perceives certain jobs. I did agriculture in high school. I was called to do an agriculture course at Egerton University. I was like, I'm not going to the farm.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that. I can't be seen.
Yeah, there are other opportunities in the same sector that don't necessarily require to till the land.
You know, we are young. We didn't know these things. The 844 system was such a, I don't know, I'll call it a bad system, that we were not trained to know that agriculture si shamba. You could get a job, you could even be a teacher, you could even, come up with even reforms on how to improve it and even policies. We didn't know all those things. So the main fact, you think about agriculture, unafikiria tu kwenda shamba kulima, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Let me go. I want to be a journalist. Let me go practice that. Again, it starts with the society. And I'm happy that we do have CBC, and children are able to understand that farming si uchafu peke, ni kazi yenye ineza kupea, good returns. I have friends who did farming and they work in Netherlands and Holland and all these countries, and they're making good money because, of their skills. They're able to be brought in such countries because they don't have the young people to be able to do such jobs. And, it's good paying jobs. Another sector I would tell the young people to consider is content creation. Yes, it pays. There are many platforms that you could earn. That is TikTok, that is Facebook, that is YouTube. I also earn from Facebook. I share content on Facebook. I'm able to get a little bit of money that is able to provide me with 1 to 3 things. Another thing that most people don't look into, the 2 skills. There are things like virtual assistants that you could do that could give you really good money. I know people who work at call centers abroad, but they work in Kenya. They work remotely, and they're able to earn around $2,000 a month. That is good money that can, help me go into that agriculture that, it's too expensive. Why am I supposed to rent land?
Yeah. Blanche.
Start by clearing my name because corruption is actually quite a sensitive issue. I'm not advocating for corruption. I'm just saying that sometimes I truly understand parents who go to such lengths because desperate moments call for desperate measures. And also tell your friend who is operating a pharmacy at home, he or she is cheating the government out of its due share of
taxes.
Yes. And what I would actually, and it's actually, I think it's illegal. If he's doing that, that is endangering the lives of people. You really need to be out there. We know that you're certified. Your license framework is visible. So encourage him or her to come out and operate in broad daylight where people can actually see and have trust with his or her business. My take on, I would like to advocate for our government and the president to actually promote exports rather than import, so that a lot of manufacturing can happen, industrialization. Companies and industries can be created. In an industry, it can accommodate white-collar jobs. It can create white-collar jobs and at the same time accommodate people with technical skills. So it is going to be like a win-win situation.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And Jerry, final word. I think our time is almost up.
Okay, mine I will talk about agriculture, having coming from Kirinyaga, where we do farming. There is horticulture, there is rice, there is tea and coffee, and I think one of the greatest problems that we have is the government policies, where we have people or companies importing, like for instance, rice duty-free, when we have more rice in the stores and farmers have used a lot of money to do the farming, but when it comes to market, hawezi pata soko ya kuuza because now we have rice coming from abroad, Pakistan, inauzwa na bei ya chini. I would also want to talk about our members of parliament who do the create through, we have a bill that is already passed, that has already passed the first reading, making sure that the farmers, tea farmers will be having some money that they will be losing in the next harvest. We would like to tell the government or to request the government to encourage young people through encouraging or giving favorable conditions for the investors who can come in, maybe have the industries that can add value to our product. Maybe kama ni tomato, tunapatanga tomato, maybe we can even import, but in Mwea, we have farmers who are farming in large scale tomatoes. If we have a processing plant there, and I know agriculture is somehow devolved, so our governors, you receive devolution. Since devolution came, it is 15 years ago. And we have so many funds being pumped into our counties but we can see or live very little. So the government should look into if they need to encourage or they want young people to be encouraged to go into agribusiness, they must see hapa kuna pesa inatoka. At least you do farming, at the end of it you can afford a suit, you can afford the kiatu yenye unataka, but not about being a farmer and you cannot even afford to eat. Or apati hata kwa market yenye utapeleka hizo nyanya upati.
Asante sana. And yes, indeed, that has been our conversation. Matters to do with education and the balance. We are very educated, a very educated society with a huge population of educated young Kenyans who are simply unemployed. And we're trying to balance on to get the, where is the disconnect? And I think we may not have gotten all the problems or tried to solve everything, but at least we agree there's a serious mismatch in skills, that what you go to school to learn is not probably what the economy needs, that the societal mindset is still a problem, that we may actually see there's money there, but I won't go there because watasema nini, nitaambia nini watu. That is a problem, and you are the ones who have said it. And of course, we can't absolve leadership from blame, that the government and those in power and policymakers in parliament need to step up. Thank you so much for your contributions this morning. I'd like to acknowledge all of you and do so correctly. So let me start by Njeri Mbogo, National Chair wa Rembo na DCP. We have Sakawa Ombengi, Youth Leader Jubilee Party. We have Njamio Blanche, Empowerment Hub Chair, Juliet Nyabuto, Queens for Matiang'i Chair Lady, Victor Sankara, economist and youth advocate, and Gakuna Castro, who's a political scientist and founder, National People's Guard. Thank you so much for your time at TV47 this morning. Yes, matters employment, youth unemployment specifically, will continue being a big discussion. We continue churning out graduates today. A new crop of people are joining universities after receiving their KCSE exams this morning. Yes. It is a Feel Good Friday here at TV47. Let me get that correctly. DJ Rhines is going to be having the Gospel Edition. Arno Dida and Bansi Kimi will also be in the house. And Boss MOG will also be here. So do stand by. A lot more on Morning Cafe. My name is Freddie Ndumuli. Good morning.